Hi everyone, Amber Van Denzen here with Attaboy Animal Care. I am excited to announce I am in Texas this weekend for the Texas Pet Sitter Conference. This is my first time going to the Texas Pet Sitter Conference, so I'm going to show you the entire weekend through a series of videos. Now, I've gone to a handful of other pet care conferences and other non-pet care conferences in the past, including Pet Sitters International twice, NAVC Veterinary Conference, as well as a handful of Girl Scout conferences when I worked for them professionally. Yes, it's a thing. They do have paid positions. But the Texas conference has been on my mind for quite a while now, and there's a few key reasons. One, the story of the Texas Pet Sitter Conference is really unique. It actually started as a grassroots effort of local Texas pet sitters that wanted some type of camaraderie and education meetup in their own state because Texas is so large and not many conferences occur in Texas. It then became a thing that people really heard about and wanted to be part of, even if they weren't from Texas. And it was because it was a smaller conference and it had a lot more like social and networking interaction vibes is what I'm told. Now this conference has less than 200 people attend, which is quite a drastic difference from the recent NAVC veterinary conference I went to, which had like 25,000 people attend. So you really get to meet people more one-on-one, get to pick each other's brains about their businesses, get inspired, and really develop some lifelong friendships. Previous conferences I've been to with other organizations, I actually am still online connected with a lot of these other professionals. And it's such a great way to get to know each other and bounce ideas off of each other and get inspired from each other. And then last fall, I got to attend a workshop with Dominic Hodgson's, which was amazing as well. So I've got to see like a variety of conference and workshop styles this past 365 days. And this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do a series of videos on all these conferences. So if you're trying to figure out what conference you may want to attend in the future, maybe you want to try to budget, maybe you've never been to a conference before and you want to see if it's something that's beneficial to you and your type of business, be on the lookout. Now, the Texas conference is pretty interesting because it starts on Friday midday with a check-in and networking. It has one speaker and then a happy hour at the facility with a few freebie drinks that were included in our registration. It has an all-day Saturday with included lunch and then almost all-day Sunday with a non-included lunch break so you can go to your favorite location with some friends that you may have met up with. Saturday night, they help plan some outings of dinner so you can hang out with smaller groups of other people that are coming in a dinner setting. And there was also an optional additional first aid pet CPR certification course that you could do for an additional cost for the Friday earlier in the day. Things that I'm already seeing that are quite drastically different from a smaller conference to a bigger conference. Now, mind you, with a bigger conference comes more income with that, which allows for more flexibility with certain things, of course. When I attended the 25,000 plus person conference, there were a few additional things that were definitely included that are not included in this type of conference when it's much smaller. That includes things like transportation from the hotel rooms. At the large conference, they had actually shuttle buses occurring all day long from the main partner hotels to the venue of the actual conference. That does not happen in a smaller conference typically. The larger conference did offer optional paid babysitting or childcare. I almost said pet sitting for humans. They did have like on-site babysitters that you paid like $12 or $13 an hour per child to be at the venue of the conference. And I think that's a really important thing because persons like myself that are parents, it was really hard to coordinate me leaving and my husband being able to do the pickup of the childcare. He actually had to take some PTO hours so he could leave work early to accommodate that because usually I'm the one that is responsible for picking up and handling aftercare situations until Hubs comes home. Smaller conference does not offer babysitting. Although, hint, hint, maybe it should in the future. They did have group rates for the hotel room, but it sold out very quickly. But they did have some additional rooms open up later. Now the positives, I'm not gonna have to worry about not getting a seat at a speaker because it is a guaranteed seat at every speaker that is occurring at the conference. Unlike the large one, I missed out on a handful because by the time I got there in a very large facility, it was already full. Other perk is actually getting to know people. 25,000 people, it all ends up being a blur. I knew people that were going and I ended up not even seeing them because there's so many people. Wait times are going to be much less, especially I'm assuming during like lunch walkthrough that's included, or when there's tea and beverages services. At the other facility, there was lines like upwards of 50 people just to get a cup of coffee, like a basic generic cup of coffee or hot tea. And some things out of the same. Both of them include swag. It both so far it seems like include some type of bag, some type of freebie goodies from some sponsors that are giving some goodies away for marketing purposes, name tags, things like that. Both had private groups of people that are attending, which is really a nice way to connect with other people that are coming as well. And last but not least, the controversial CE, or continuing education. Let's talk about continuing education, which is a whole nother video in the pet industry if you're really curious about. But in the pet sitting industry currently, there are two main organizations that offer certifications, PSI and NAPS, to just give the most top two, let's say. And both of those have different CE certification requirements for your ability to renew that certification as a professional pet sitter or whatever title they label you. And usually the CE has to come from that organization's content, aka a way for them to make more money. One is a nonprofit and one's a for-profit, but obviously nonprofits still have to make money for overhead expenses, so they do have things that cost money. One allows volunteer hours within the organization, one does not. And when we're attending a conference like today, where it's a third-party organization that doesn't have a certification option for themselves, they actually do offer CE now, but they didn't for many years because they had to get approval from these other organizations, and they ended up buddying up with these other organizations to allow the content that's occurring at this conference to be considered a partial CE, from my understanding, for the certifications of those organizations or organization. Now, compared to that, I went to a veterinary conference that had a lot more difficult content that was more medically related to animals. I have a history of being a veterinary technician of 13 years, so that I want that content because it's really relevant to how I create my pet care business. None of that was eligible for CE from either organization because they would have to view it and monitor it. One charges you to review the content to see if it's a viable option. It's just messy because they're not getting a kickback from it, I'm assuming, and they don't know what it is, or they don't follow up with it, even though it's a national veterinary organization. They just choose not to offer that as CE. So that type of conference, I did not get any CE for. Don't get me started. Camaraderie, people, camaraderie. But I just got in. I had a very, very early flight. It left at 6 a.m. from an hour away from my house. So I was up at like 2 to 3 in the morning, and I had anxiety, so I couldn't sleep because I was worried I was going to sleep through my alarm. Got here, got to the hotel. They let me check in early. Beautiful hotel from Home to Suites. It's trashed already, as you can see. And I'm partnering and I'm meeting up with a couple pet sitters that I know for some dinner time. I walked to the local Target to get some essential like veggies and fruits because when I'm conferencing, I always make sure I stop off at a local bodega, grocery store, whatever, fruit stand to get some essential fruits and vegetables because I find a lot of the food I'll be consuming from the freebie hotel downstairs, breakfast, or the catered lunches or the restaurants tends not to be as healthy as I'm used to being fed, feeding my body. So I just popped by the closest thing that was near me, this location, which was a 20-minute walk about a mile or so away. I got some bananas and some broccoli and some tangerines and some other nutritional valued actual food that I'll supplement my diet with because it's really hard to get all those, especially fresh fruit, when I'm at conferences. So I find that popping off at the local store real quick, popping it in the my hotel room and taking it with me for snacks throughout the day. It really helps with my gut throughout the weekend, especially if I don't have adding yogurt. If I have a refrigerator is also a huge component, and not always the hotel yogurts are usually not the good ones. So I usually get some yogurt as well for some good microbiome vibes. So I will keep you guys updated. Hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions or want to see what I will be doing this weekend, I have some key friends I'm meeting up with. If you've ever heard of Doug Keeling, he's here this weekend and doing a speaker presentation. Morgan Weber, Janet Budnick. Oh my gosh, there's such a good lineup this year. We have Beth Schultz Harrison, who's the president of PSI, coming as well. I think she's the first speaker of the weekend. I'm just so excited for all the content we'll be getting and bringing it back to my business and getting inspired, because sometimes a lot of these speakers are repetitive, but I still get inspired to add and change and grow my business and really work on it. You're able to focus on the business the whole time, and I think this is the biggest concept of conferences. So I look forward to talking and seeing everything and eating a lot of yummy food. I don't know what Texas is famous for. What is Texas famous for food? Barbecue? Tex-Mex? I mean, Tex-Mex, I guess. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. I know I will. As I always say, happy pets, happy people. If you have any questions, let me know, and hope you have a awesome day. Bye.